Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Midweek Fix for this Wednesday night. I'm your host, Gav, and tonight we have loads to get through, but we are limiting this to a 70-minute show. We've made promises to each other, and if we don't keep those promises, we're going to fall out as friends. How does that sound? I've even found some sound effects that I can play if I've had enough of a certain subject. I can just press this button, it makes a mad noise, it'll blow the ears off you, and then we know to move on to the next subject. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that, even more so than the League Cup draw that's about to happen. But tonight we're going to talk about James Milner, the man's a machine. We're going to talk about VAR boys because Joe Wayman's on, and Joe Wayman hates VAR, hates the top six, hates everything about everything. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about youngsters in the game, the next breed of youngsters that are coming through, especially at Liverpool, and we're going to talk to Joe about some players at Leeds as well. We're going to, of course, have our winners and losers and anything else that comes in the chat over the next hour or so. So joining me, as I said, Wayman Joe Wayman, the Leeds fan with the unearned green screen behind him. He's apologised to me for that, which is great. Chris Brack, who's going to be watching the League Cup draw for us live, and he's just going to interrupt and tell us as the teams come out, so that's good. And we have Conroy back as always on Wednesday night. Joe, how are you, my man? Apart from hating everybody in the top six.
Yeah. Look, I'm really good. The league is not going as well as I first envisaged. Still yet to get our first win of the season. West Ham next. So yeah, it's a little bit like this at the minute with the fan base. But look, I think we'll be totally fine. But as for myself, yeah, mate, I'm doing well. Good,
and it's great to have you back. It's a long time since we've been on a show together, so I was really excited when you told me you could come on tonight. Absolutely delighted. Chris, is the League Cup draw, has it started yet?
No, there's still talk as a Harry Redknapp, so give us half an hour.
Okay, what are you talking about? What about what? Fishing?
Is he hanging out in his car? Is he sat in his car by any chance?
It's Harry and Michael Richards. They now just tell us the numbers. So
Okay, yeah. So the numbers have started. So we're on a good thing here. Conroy, you've been accused of being very negative. You've upset a lot of people on our YouTube channel over the last week, and I'm all for it. Yeah. So can you tell us who you predict Liverpool will draw tonight and eventually exit the League Cup to?
Probably, I think we'll get. I don't know what the Chelsea score was, so I don't know if we got
Chelsea went
yet,
through on penalties.
Chelsea through.
I think we'll get Chelsea.
Okay, good stuff. And go out.
Probably, yeah.
Love it.
Just go with the negative Nelly attitude. Yeah, we're going to get beat 4-0.
Yeah, okay.
Only joking.
Good stuff. But listen, on tonight's show, we've loads to pack in, and as I said, we're going to try to keep this 60-70 minutes, and then we're out of here. Okay, so I want to bring up something to start off with, and it's basically something that just popped up today because it's kind of announced with regards to the Premier League and the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. And I'm going to put up on the screen just quickly for you, and I'm going to read it out. And it's basically the timeline of the Premier League between the start of next season, which is usually August, so it'll be August 22, right through to May/June 2023, when the season ends and facilitates the World Cup in Qatar in the November/December. Okay, so the plan looks to be August the 6th, the season will begin, which is about average. Yeah.
Gav, sorry to interrupt you. Joe, you're away to Arsenal.
Arsenal Leeds. Okay.
And Chelsea Southampton so far.
Chelsea Southampton so far.
Not Chelsea then.
Okay, so August the 6th, the season begins, about average. November the 2nd is the final Champions League group game. And on November the 13th, the season will pause, i.e. Premier League. The 21st of November, the World Cup will begin and end on December 18. On the 26th of December, 8 days later, the season will resume in England in the Premier League. The season will end late on May 28th. June the 3rd will be the FA Cup final, and June the 10th, which is the latest it's been, which will be about 9 days, I think, will be the Champions League finals. We're probably looking at 3 weeks after that, when teams would usually come back around July the 1st for pre-season. Joe, I'll come to you first. That just seems like a mad schedule.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Like when you were telling me, I've not had a chance to see it, but when you were just saying before we came on, like me as a football fan, I can't lie, I'm like, oh, I'm buzzing. I can't wait. Like it's non-stop football. Do you know what I mean? We get a World
Sorry to
Cup.
interrupt.
Yeah.
World breaking news here. Man City are away from home to a Premier League side. They've got West Ham away.
Oh, okay.
That'll be a good game.
Someone forgot to heat up the balls. Deadly.
Seriously.
But no, yeah. Look, as a fan, I look at it and think, what a World Cup squeezed in between a Premier League season. It's decent, but from a playing perspective, it's not ideal for them, is it? Let's be honest. They're running on empty, I think, especially when you consider what happened with COVID and then they're expected to next season. It's a similar sort of vibe, you know. It's a lot to put on them. We see obviously the managers, you know, complaining all the time, etc., about players getting adequate rest and too much football, especially in England. So I guess that just adds to it. But as a football fan, like I'm like, yeah, that's good, man. Give me a World Cup in between. Although what I will say is I don't want none of this every 2 years rubbish that Arsene Wenger's trying to like do. But I just think, I think it'll be decent, man. It'll be decent. But I suppose, Gav, for you guys who are challenging at the top of the league, if they go out on a World Cup, let's say you're on an amazing run, Liverpool are smashing it, there's a World Cup, you get a couple of your players injured, you come back and you've got half a squad. Do you know what I mean? So I guess there's that as well that you have to factor into it, really.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Liverpool draws been made. We are away from home to Preston.
Okay, away to Preston. Okay, Liverpool away to Preston.
Last time we played them, it was 2-0, wasn't it? Torres and Gerrard, or is that?
Yeah, we've had a couple of pre-season games as well.
Yeah,
had a couple of pre-season games.
I've got all the. We can go through all the draw later, but you know the key one is Liverpool, Preston. So
and Arsenal home to Leeds. City
Arsenal
away to West Ham. Okay.
Leeds will beat Arsenal. No bother.
Good stuff. Yeah, he's sucking up to you a bit there, Joe.
Yeah, good lads.
but I think, and not to go into it too much, I just thought I'd bring it to the table with regards to this World Cup. The thing for me, Joe, is that this season is going to end mid-May, end of May for a Champions League final. It's probably, you know, you're getting a bit of a break. And going into next season, but it's not only the football. Like they're going to try cram league games in. They're going to the Champions League. Then you're going to have players World Cup coming back 6-8 days after the World Cup final. You're going to have players looking, and there will be players in the World Cup final. I think they're playing the Premier League. I'm not just concerned about Liverpool here. It's other players as well, and they will come back, and then we will kick off the season and it'll go hell for leather right through to May the 28th. And it's
Calvin Phillips and that, won't it, boy?
Yeah,
it'll be England, of course.
But it's I love your optimism and I love it more. But it's even more the case that it's going to affect the season, and it's most definitely going to affect the following season with regards to recovery time and, you know, players getting a rest then after what will be one of the most frantic seasons you've ever seen. So it's a bit of a mad one, but look, in fairness, we know it's been coming for 5 or 6 years now. I think since he announced it, so it's just one of those. Jono's absolutely thrilled. He says, finally we've got an easy draw. Famous last words, Jono. You never know who will put out in that game, but I know where you're coming from, because Liverpool usually win a round in the League Cup and then get a Chelsea away, and we throw out a load of young fellas and it doesn't work. Or we're asked to play a League Cup game 24 hours before we're playing a World Club Cup game on the other side of the world, which happened a couple of years ago. Do you remember? But it's one of those. But look, I just wanted to touch on it. Look, we're going to get loads of debate about it over the coming months, and certainly the next year. So let's see what happens. I want to move on, and I want to talk about James Milner. Now, I'm glad Joe was on tonight as a Leeds fan, because he has an insight to James Milner, feelings on James Milner, and of course James Milner, who's been linked to Leeds over the last 1 or 2 summers, you know, with them coming back into the Premier League and with Milner move and end his career there and stuff like that. But Chris, I'll come to you first, because he never ceases to amaze me. I'm being honest with you. He's 36 years of age now, and you know, I'm going to bring a graph up here for you, and he slots in a right back, and when you see that team against Palace, you're thinking, oh, Zaha's going to run at Milner, and you see a pass completion map there with regards to the passes he makes, the chances he makes, and Trent is out of his world, but he came in and done as able a job as anybody could have, I think, for Liverpool the other day. he's ridiculous, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Palace performance, it was seamless. We didn't really sort of change the style of how we played. He slotted in nicely. He gives Salah all the help he needed, and to be honest, he wasn't really left too exposed. But he's just timeless. I mean, I remember when we signed him, the same sort United signed Schweinsteiger. I remember at the time he was like, "Who's got the better free?" But I think he'll just forget. This guy's gone from being, a tricky winger to a title-winning centre midfielder to now being the best utility man we've ever had. He's probably the best free I think Liverpool have ever had. I can't think of a better free. I mean, people talk about Gary Mack.
Maybe the Premier League, Chris. Maybe the best free the Premier League's ever had. It's arguable. He is.
It's definitely up there, but I'm trying to think for us, all the frees we've had some great ones in like Joe Matip, Gary McAllister, Marcus Babel, but James Milner he's just timeless, and he's always there when you need him in the crunch moments. And I think this year for a title push, you'll need a James Milner more than anything. For whether it's the cover right back like he did the other day, or last 20 minutes to close the game out, where I call it bringing the grown up on to sort the game out, and that's how I describe him. He makes Henson's job 10 times easier.
It really does, and Conroy, I want to show you something else here, right? Because we are concerned over Milner coming in. How does it affect us as a team? And not only Milner coming in to affect us as a team, but Harvey Elliott being out, and we've seen a trend which Jamie has shown us on this show over the last couple of weeks, where the right back, the right centre midfielder, which was Trent, Harvey Elliott, and then you had Mo Salah, and this triangle seemed to just move away from the rest of the team in a general sense when you look at that screen. And this triangle was looking to probe all the time and look for openings and seemed to have a great understanding. Of course, we lose Harvey Elliott to injury, and then you have Trent that's unwell. And Henderson comes in there, and Milner comes in, and you still see that same triangle. You still see them working together. Now, it may seem like a very obvious thing because, Gav, they're on that side of the pitch. Why are you being silly? But it's obviously it's an effort to get this triangle of players to play, regardless of who they are. It's definitely a tactic from Liverpool, and we didn't see that ease up at all against Palace for me. You're just seeing different names, different faces, but the same sort of input and the same sort of output from them.
No, absolutely, Gavin. I think it's if you just look at the opposite side, you've got usually, I don't know if that's me there, folks. You've got the left back and the left winger on that side. So it'd be Shimikas and Mane. And you can just tell that if you look with the left centre mid, it's not the same relationship as the triangle on the right hand side. And you can just tell that that's obviously a game plan, and it doesn't matter which personnel they've got, it just works. And it's been working very well this season, especially against teams. I'm not saying Palace just sat in for the full game, I'm not saying that, but you can tell it worked well against Burnley, it's now worked well against Palace, even with different personnel in. So to me, that just looks like the team are working on different things behind the scenes to break down issues we've had in previous seasons. So yeah, I think it's great, mate. And I feel like it's. I said to Chris on the pre-show that for me, James Milner is the backup right back for us 100%, because he's the one. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but he's the one who gives us the best balance of attack and defence. Whereas Gomez, yes, maybe like if you're playing a Man City at home and Trent can't play, you probably shove a Gomez there when he becomes back to 100% fitness. But for me, the balance is James Milner. He's ahead of Nico Williams and he's ahead of Gomez for me for the balance of defence and attack. So there's not much more you can say about a 35-year-old. Just to add to Chris's point as well, I don't know any free transfer who ends up being the top assister in the Champions League. But I don't know if there is anyone who's ever done that before. So honestly, what a signing. I've got the stats here. He's got 85 goals and 131 assists in his career. Stupendous. And just, yeah, unbelievable specimen of a player as well.
I just think it's mad. Like, and I've been honest with you. When we get to every summer, I go, "This is me. This is it for Milner." You're going to see less and less of him and his influence. And when he comes on, I always said going back a year ago, Milner's your fourth sub, and the reason he's your fourth sub is because if you're losing the game, you bring him on, and he allows other players to push on and try and make something happen. And he's really good. And he's actually he's very creative. When you actually get him in positions, he is quite creative. But he's also your fourth sub if you're winning the game and you're looking to protect, because he has this unnatural knack of coming onto a pitch or starting a game and literally kicking lads, right? As much as he wants from start to finish, and just has this face that he puts towards the referee, and the ref just refuses to book him. So it's absolutely brilliant. So he's always been your first sub. We've seen a bit less of him this season, but that's to be expected from me. But I just don't have any doubt over him when he comes on or starts. I just go, yeah, he'll do a job. He'll absolutely do a job. I've only seen him exposed a couple of times, and one of them was by Zaha at Anfield, in fairness. But other than that, he's so professional, and that stint at left back, you know, people went, well, he's so experienced to do it, but I think it actually stood to him. I think it actually improved him as a player, having to do that for a season or so, because it was another strength of his ball, I suppose. And, you know, you never stop learning in football, but James Milner, I just think, is brilliant. And Joe, I brought this up deliberately because you, as a Leeds fan, he starts out at Leeds, and he still has a great relationship with Leeds fans, and he's warming up on the sideline at Ellen Road, and they're applauding him, and Hendo's giving him hugs and all sorts of stuff. But 2 questions, I suppose, for you, Joe. Your feelings on James Milner now as a player, and also that little triangle I was talking about, is that something you noticed at Ellen Road? Because I noticed it in a big way in that game.
Yeah, I think Trent's on record. I think Leeds United are finding this season, especially with the more tactically astute managers. I think that we are being pressed in wide areas, you know, and you can see that, I guess, from that graphic, you know, and able to get out. And I think Trent touched on it in the post match as well, after you soundly beat us. But Liverpool were great that day, I have to say that. I know I'm getting a lot of grief in the chat, but Liverpool were just different gravy that day. But yeah, man, you look good down that side. It's quite funny because that's like when you were kicking towards the Kop, I'm there, like that's my seat's near there. And when we were giving Trent, you just Kyle Walker, and then he went and across the ball. And fair play, I love this because he.
Why would you do that to Trent? Why would you do that to Trent? Of all players,
well, this
Trent,
is the funny thing.
He's got that in the locker.
But he turned around and just went like that to us afterwards, and I thought, yeah, fair play.
And what was the reaction? Was there people there going, "Ah, fuck it, yeah, he got us there"?
No, it was. That's what I mean. I guess when it's someone we can appreciate Trent's quality, it was more of a laugh. Like, fair enough, you know what I mean? We were just griefing you, and you've just done that, so you have to hold your hands up.
I get that, mate. It's just a bit of banter, isn't it? It's just a bit of laugh. It's funny though. It's just funny.
Yeah. It's because it's Trent and it's Liverpool, and there's respect there. Whereas if it's, I don't know, I tell you, when Cristiano comes to Ellen Road, for example, it's going to be a totally different ball game.
It's not going to be that light-hearted. It's not going to be that light-hearted.
No, it's definitely not. No. Yeah, so it was fair. I mean, Liverpool were fantastic, and yeah. Harvey Elliott as well, obviously shame what happened to him with Pascal, etc. But I said in my preview he was someone we needed to watch out for, and I think he was class in that game prior to him getting the injury. He looks a real talent. I know we've sent a kid out on loan to Blackburn. I think in the hope that it has a similar sort of effect as what Harvey Elliott did. I think there's a lot, like Mowbray does well with these youth players, you know. So I think Leeds have looked at the situation with Harvey Elliott and said, right, okay, and sent them Pervader. So hopefully he has a similar sort of impact. But Harvey Elliott looks different gravy. Just on James Milner as well, when you mentioned about the free transfers, I had a little quick look on the old Tinterweb, and there's a top 5. So you've got Michael Ballack, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, James Milner in 3rd, Ruud Gullit at Chelsea, and then Sol Campbell at Arsenal. But I would say for longevity, I think Milner surpasses them, really, to be fair. So I would put Milner as number 1, but obviously I am going to say that. Go on, Gav.
No, I was just going to say, like, there's some serious players like Ballack, Gullit, Ibrahimovic, Milner, and
but as a signing, was Ballack that good? I know that's
Ballack was brilliant.
But was he successful at Chelsea though?
I think he was.
He won enough, didn't he?
Yeah, he won enough. But I think the thing that stands out with Milner for me is that he's everywhere. Like, he's literally playing right back. He'll play as a 6. He'll play as an 8. He'll play as a left back. He'll play anywhere for you. You know, these players that come in, Ibrahimovic's going to stand up front. Gullit ends up, I think it's a free to Chelsea, isn't it? He ends up being a sweeper.
Ends up being the manager.
Yeah, and Ballack's good. Ballack's really good.
No, unbelievable player. I get your point.
I get your point, and I agree with it. I just think it's the versatility of Milner. You know, and usually when you're that versatile, you're used all the time and you're ran into the ground, and by 36 there's just nothing left. But he just keeps going and going and going. But Joe, back to you. Like James Milner, like he'll always be loved at Leeds because he never wanted to go. It was a financial thing, wasn't it, with the club?
Yeah, and I think as well, I always dreamed, I think it was on every Leeds fan's mind that when we did return to the Premier League, he would return. However, I think that ship sailed now, which is disappointing. And that's more so, again, due to the quality of James Milner. The fact that Liverpool and Klopp want to keep him around, you know, because of his versatility and probably what he offers to the squad off the pitch as well. It'll be so important what James Milner brings in that dressing room. I'd imagine, anyway, you guys might tell me different, but I'd imagine it'd be he's held up to high regard within the dressing room, and I know Klopp's a big fan of his. You can tell that on interviews. But I always dreamt that he would one day return. But I think that ship sailed, I think, especially under Bielsa. We have a sort of... It's nowhere comparable, but Dallas is like our James Milner in that Dallas can play anywhere. He plays in midfield, he plays at left back, he played at right back last night in the Cup. He's played in the DM. Like Dallas would probably play in goal if he was asked to, and I think that'd be the same of
that goal he scored against City, mate. He's had 10 men. The goal he scored against City. Exactly. Dallas is. I think he's underrated. I really like Dallas. I watched that analyst last year and said he was one of your best players. The guy is ridiculous. I think he goes under the radar. Very, very good player.
Well, he got the Player of the Year last season because prior to that, Pablo Hernandez had won it 3 years on the bounce, and then obviously Pablo didn't play much last season, and then Stuart Dallas deservedly got it. I think he got quite a few awards. I think he got Players Player, and Goal of the Season for that one at City as well. And again, he just reminds me of Milner in that respect, just a consummate professional. I think he's captain at Northern Ireland now as well. He's Stuart Dallas. So I think it's a shame because I would have liked to have seen James Milner pull on the Leeds shirt again. Maybe he will, I'm not sure. But I hope he comes to the club in some capacity because I'd imagine James Milner would want to probably do coaching, you'd imagine. You would think that, wouldn't you? You would think he'd go into manage.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if Liverpool let him go. I think Liverpool would try and keep him in there. You set up. The key thing was when we played. Was it Shrewsbury in the FA Cup when it was the replay where Klopp basically said, "Look, it's our 2 weeks off, so we literally are playing the kids." And Milner, I think, was coming from injury. Instead of going on his holiday, spoke to it was the under-23's man at the time. Said, "Can I come on the bench and help out?" And it was like, "Yeah, of course." And he was helping out, giving the team talk. He was talking to. He basically became the coach on the sideline. And
can I just say as well that people are saying in the comments, Stuart Dallas. I'm not saying. If you listen to what I said they're not comparable in terms of playing. I'm not for 1 second saying that. I'm on about the character and what they bring.
He's a utility player. He's got the intelligence to play in different positions.
I think it's the versatility. It's the versatility with him because, you know, James Milner is versatile. And you know when you have an issue, he comes in. Now there's some games he'll start on merit in midfield for you, but usually it's like Robertson is injured, he'll go out there and he'll play. Now we have Simicast there and he's had a great start to this season. And then if you have Trent on the other side, you go, well, Milner will step in there. And then sometimes, as I said, he'll play midfield and merit, and sometimes Fabinho's injured, or you know, you've seen it last season when we'd no centre backs and we'd Henderson and all sorts playing centre back. Milner would play in midfield. The thing with Dallas is that he's versatile to the point where I get confused when I look at Leeds lineups and I go, where the fuck is this fella playing today? Because he's in the team on merit all the time, but you don't know where he's going to play. You know, sort of way. Like,
that's a great point.
When I see a lineup from Leeds, I go, well, is he playing left back? Is he going to play right back? Are they going to play 3 at the back, 5? What are they doing? You know what I mean? It must be confused for other clubs going. Fucking shit.
It's confusing for me. It's confusing for me.
Yeah, and then
he puts Rodrigo into centre mid, and you're like, what's going on?
That's the thing, because usually you could look and go, right, I'll plot these other 10 players and then I'll know where Dallas is. But now we've got Rodrigo, who's a centre forward, messing about, playing like fucking defensive midfielder and all sorts of messing. So
Dallas played left back in first half yesterday and then moved into centre midfield in the second half. So there you go.
We've been assured from the group, and leader of the group, Free World, says we are only winding you up, Joe. We're only joking, pal.
Yeah, I see it. I get triggered by comments.
Wait till you see when I say VAR now in about 10 minutes. How triggered you get? But look,
I've got. Do you know what? I didn't realize you could share your screen. So when we talk about Joffy, I'm going to be able to get my own back because he scored. I don't know if people are aware. He scored some absolute screamers against a certain side when we beat you 4-0 in the under-23s the other day. So I'll be able to share and get my own back and share some clips of that in a while.
Okay, Jesus, it's got very serious here. We're sharing the stuff for it's all a big massive propaganda fucking war now in the next half an hour. But no, look, I just wanted to bring up James Milner because, in fairness, he was brilliant at the weekend for Liverpool, and he actually missed the game against Norwich, I think, through illness. And it was ironic because I think Trent was ill against Palace, and Milner was quoted as saying he had Zaha-itis because he didn't want to face Zaha. But obviously Milner didn't want to face the might of Daniel Farke and the lads last night. So he went ill. But look, I wanted to touch on it. Brilliant player, and there's no better place to get another view of James Milner than a Leeds fan, because he's gone from Leeds, he goes to Newcastle, I think he goes to Villa, and he ends up playing for Liverpool and Man City and Leeds, who are all not best friends with the other lads in Manchester. So that's a nice stat as well for him to have. But look, moving on, and I want to talk about youngsters, because out of the League Cup, this is where you see these young players. Now, I'm not talking about your the likes of Harvey Elliott. I think you can now put him down as established, because I know he's only played a handful of league games, but if he wasn't injured, he'd have been playing at the weekend, so he's absolutely nailed in the squad. The same with Curtis Jones. If you could look at United and Mason Greenwood, you've these players that are, for me, established now and are really pushing into squads. But I wanted to talk about youngsters that we're seeing as the next wave of young players that you say, you know what, watch him, keep an eye on him. Joe's mentioned somebody there that's gone out to Blackburn, and I want to bring up 3 players on each side, and I've picked Leeds obviously because Joe was on, and in particular there was one player that kept popping up in my mind because I kept seeing Joe talking about him, so I said I'll do it. So I just want to bring these players up on the screen and we'll talk about them one by one if we can, right? So we have we've Creswell, we've Greenwood, and we've Gelhardt at Leeds. Okay, Gelhardt is the one that I've seen Joe talking about a lot on social media, so I was really interested to see what's going on there. And of course, we have got Morton, we've Bradley and Gordon at Liverpool. Of course, Bradley and Gordon start the game against Norwich, and Morton comes on, and I thought was extremely impressive. But Chris, I'll come to you first. I'm going to give you Tyler Morton because he came on and he did everything simple, like Klopp said. He done everything rather simple, but Klopp was happy with that. And it was funny because Klopp was saying, I want players to be brave. I want them to be brave, and I want them to do this and do that. And then in the next sentence he says, but Tyler Morton come on, and he was brave in the fact that he just kept it simple and kept it moving, and I like that about him. So there's obviously different aspects to what he's looking for from players, but he came on for me, Chris, and he was just looked like a first team player coming on. Now, I'm not saying Norwich are the best team in the world, and he had space, but he was holding fellas off, and he was turning them, dropping shoulders and stuff like that. Is he really, really one to watch for you, Chris?
He is, yeah. I was hoping you were going to give me the right back to talk about.
I'll give you him as well in a minute.
Yeah. The best thing I could say he did was, in the first half, you were watching Jones play 6, which is not his natural game. And he did fine there. But the best thing that you can say with Tyler Morton is when he came on, Jones got to play his natural centre mid position, and Jones looked even better. So that's generally the sign of a good player, is that when he comes in, he elevates others around him. And he just kept it simple. He covered where you needed him to cover. And he just didn't do the thing that some youngsters do, which is if they get their opportunity, they've got to show all their tricks, and they've got to show what they can do. That they want to show, I can spray a ball 50, 60 yards. He didn't need to. He just kept it really simple, covered his fullbacks really well. And I just think he enabled the likes of a Jones and Chamberlain, who struggled, to push on further, to get closer to Origi. I think in the end, Klopp changed formation in the end. I think he ended up playing Tyler and Curtis as a 2.
Yeah. And
he moved formation around because he gave you that flexibility, which possibly we didn't have in the first half. So that's probably the biggest thing you can say about him is he slotted in as in like he didn't notice, oh, that's the youngster, but I mean that in a good way because he just fitted in. But then he allowed Klopp to go, I want to switch some formation up now, 4-2-3-1, and he didn't phase him. So it's really good. It's really good. He's quite a slight lad, so these are established Premier League players, and he's knocking about with here. So I was impressed. I hadn't seen massive. I don't claim to watch all the under 23s, so I was, impressed with what I saw of him.
I was really impressed with what I saw of him. Just the confidence on the ball. He didn't seem, the way you see some young players to come in and you go, oh, he was good, but when you actually look at it back, you think a little bit hesitant in the pass, or maybe being extra safe. But he wasn't. He was just strolling around the place as if, I'll just pass it here and I'll pass it there and I'll hold players off and I'm physically good. I was really, really impressed with him, and I think, it's another name that's come up because Harvey Elliott has taken all the limelight over the last probably year or so, along with Curtis Jones coming through, and it's another player you look at and you think to yourself, you know what, League Cup, this is where you want to run the League Cup, this is where you want to see him playing and getting those games, and even the FA Cup when the new year comes, because I think the League Cup's better than the FA Cup, and I think these players should be getting the chance in both of them. Joe, those three players I put up on the screen, tell me about them, and are they all as good as each other, or is there one absolute standout for you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Creswell, centre-back. Do you remember Richard Creswell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is his son, Charlie Creswell. He's a centre-back, like an old-school centre-back. He's huge. He's a mountain, but can play a bit as well. He got his debut, actually, last year. And it's been a year in between appearances, but during that time he's captained the under 23s to the Premier League 2 Division 2 title, and now we're obviously in the top tier when it comes to the under 23s, and he captains the side there. But he played last night. He was man of the match last night against Fulham. He's a real mountain. I mean, he's only 19-year-old and was called up to the England under 21s just recently. And if you consider the fact that he hasn't even played a Premier League game and he's getting a call up to the England under 21s is decent, I think. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I was trying to find out who actually played at centre-back for the under 21s in the last game, but I couldn't find it. But it'll be players that'll be playing at Premier League level. And Charlie's not even got a start. I expect him to start this weekend. So if you get a chance to check him out, please do. He's a top centre back. I remember being at a live event about 3 years ago now, and Andy Hughes, who used to play for Leeds, is a coach at Norwich now, spoke about him then and said, you need to wait for this kid. You need to wait for this kid to come off the conveyor belt. City have tried to sign him previously, but he's really happy at Leeds, wants to stay at Leeds. So genuinely, I would go as far as to say, he will play for England one day. I'm that confident. He's just a mint. Like, he's a man mountain, he's just a bit of a beast, and then he's just great on the ball as well. So certainly one to watch out for. Sam Greenwood, another great kid, plays as a striker, can play in the 10. He was at Arsenal.
Yeah, I was going to say formerly at Arsenal. Yeah, when I was looking him up.
Yeah, he'd have stayed at Arsenal. I think Arsenal fans wanted him to stay, but he was homesick. He's originally from Sunderland, so he wanted to move back up north. Arsenal got him from Sunderland when obviously they were relegated and whatnot. So he's another exciting player. He's had little chances in the first team here and there last season during the cups, but I mean, we were knocked out of the cup by Mark Wright's Crawley. I mean, we didn't take the cup seriously at all last season, so it was a bit unfair. But Leeds are smashing it at under 23s, and that brings me on to Joe Joffy Geldart. He's been labelled the next Rooney. I think it's because of his build and he's a Scouser, so it's easy to make the comparison. But he really is an exceptional talent. He was wanted by a host. I think even Liverpool, I think Manchester United.
Where was he born?
Liverpool.
Yeah. Because I thought I read that earlier and I thought, wow. For a player like that who's so highly rated for Everton or Liverpool, not to be near him was a bit strange.
Yeah, well, he's been playing at Wigan. That's what I mean. We managed to get him after they went into, they had their financial issues. So we've picked him up for next to nothing. And it's a real testament to where Leeds United are as a football club now and the passage from the under-23s into the first team. We picked up a kid called Lewis Bate from Chelsea Chelsea wanted to keep him. He's seen Leeds as a better avenue to get into first-team football as opposed to rotting at Chelsea sometimes like they do. So the fact that we picked him up is great. I think Bielsa's a massive plus to that. But I'm going to try share with you now, Gav, if that's all right. I'm going to share some goals that he scored against Liverpool.
I don't know. Are we allowed to share these now? Will we get copyrighted for this?
No.
Yeah,
They're just
you don't know with copyright.
They're all right on the old Twitter sphere. Tell me if you could see that.
Yeah, I can.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the goals that he scored.
Hold on now, I'm gonna. Do you know what, Joe? Have you got?
Yeah.
Is that a link that you have?
It's on Twitter, mate. Yeah, it's available on Twitter.
Okay, I'd probably need to get
Did
the
you see
video
that?
because they won't. No, because they're just up on. They're up on a small screen here. They won't come up on the big one. I need to get the list. But do you know what to do?
I'm going to tag you in them, eh?
Yeah, tag the LFC Daytrippers in, and then we can show it to our people afterwards. All our viewers.
There's some
and stuff
beauties,
afterwards.
genuinely some beauties. And
they'll go and check that out. They will check that out.
Yeah, man. I'll do that for you. I'm going to tag you in there, right? But there's some beauties. That's done, mate. Can you hear me?
Is he the highest rated you would have out of three of them?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, definitely for sure. I think the fact that even getting likened to a player like Wayne Rooney, I know, we're not his biggest fans, but, I think it's exciting times for Leeds United. The Leeds United fans have been wanting him to play, like I say, scoring goals for fun. He scored 2 the other day against yourselves, in the under-23s, and they were both spectacular goals. He came off the bench yesterday against Fulham. Okay, he didn't really get into it because he didn't have long enough to do so. But he's one that really excites me, and I think we'll see more of him in the first team. And like I say, he's already shown he can do it at championship level, and that's men's football. That is men's football. He played a couple of games for Wigan down there as well. So I think, again, I know I'll put my neck on the line, but I'm even considering sticking a bet on to see them two in the England squad. When you hear of people, I think did Chris Kirkland's dad put a bet on him to play for England once and that. So I'm like, do you know what? I think it might be worth a little.
Yeah, Harry Wilson's dad put when he was 3 or 4. No, it might have been a bit later, 10 or something. He put, I don't know, it was like 100 quid in on playing for Wales, and it came in. Or it was Wales at a national tournament, and I genuinely made, I think he made like 10 grand or like £1,000 or something, because Harry Wilson went to the Euros and he played. So he won his bet. There you go.
Yeah.
Conroy, just do me a favour, just drop out for a second there with the link and come back in, because you're out of sync. But if you drop out and come back in, it'll bring you back. Chris, I'll come back to you because I want to talk to you. Like those 3 players from Leeds, I looked them up and they do look very, very impressive. In fairness, you have a centre half, you have a forward, and you have an out and out striker. I think is probably the way to put those 3. And it's great to see, and it's just like we see, because of social media and stuff like that, we do get to see more of these now. We get to see more of these players, and they're bigged up. And there's a lot of players that are bigged up and they don't happen. But it seems to there just seems to be more certainty around these players because they're that good. So I want to talk to you about. Go on. You can have the right back, Conor Bradley. Go on.
Yeah, the best thing I like about watching when young players playing, this will sound a bit perverse, but is actually when they struggle, because I want to see how a player reacts.
Yeah,
because effort's great when it's all rosy, and people think it's all linear and everything goes up in one straight line. It's peaks and troughs, and he had like a difficult probably 5-10 minutes leading up to the penalty where he's just naive. You see the panic and he clatters him as a penalty, and you're thinking like, I've seen plenty of youngsters once that happens, their heads go. And that's it. And they stop playing the natural game, and you think they get hauled off after 10 minutes later because you wonder what they're going to do. To be fair to him, second half came out, he went back to normal, composed, getting forward, doing what you expect the Liverpool fullback to do, which is getting high, getting your crosses in, link up on 1-2s. He played like what I would call a Liverpool right back, probably more in the Robson style than the Trent style. But that's always, I think, the most impressive thing with a youngster is when you hit with a bit of adversity is how do they react? Does it shake them and that's it? You have to sort of build them back up again? or did he just bat it off and go away? And he seemed to have that about it. I think Caoimhin Kelleher has the same sort of mentality that if something goes wrong, it doesn't affect him. And I do think that's something you can teach, but it's better it's naturally in you. And I do think that was my biggest impression of him was while he was good on the ball, and yes, he did what a right back should do. He reacted to adversity really well, and not every youngster does that. And I do think that's where you find the best of player. I think we've got senior players that don't react as well to adversity like that.
Yeah, Kevin Ball says Bradley was good apart from the pen, but his head could have dropped after that, but it didn't. He's had some international experience as well for such a young player, and I always say it. Loan moves are great for certain players, but I think you're starting to see a trend where the ones that are top level that you absolutely think is going to make it, I think they try to keep hold of them for a bit longer, and to get them in, like for Liverpool's sake, right? Caoimhin Kelleher, Curtis Jones, never loaned out, right? Harvey Elliott did go on loan, and then he just was brilliant in the Championship, and he went. I was convinced he wouldn't go anywhere. A lot of people are saying, no, another loan to a Premier League club. And my argument always is, if you think they're that good, the last thing they're missing, for me, is the mentality that is instilled in a successful first team squad. The standards that need to be kept on a daily basis, like a really, really high standard. And getting to know these players that they will end up playing with. And the longer you're with them, like Caoimhin Kelleher spends, for me, a year watching Alisson Becker. Just watching him. Doesn't play an awful lot of games, but you can see in Caoimhin Kelleher.
Transformation's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's quick off his line.
Yeah.
He's brilliant with his feet. He's just like a blondie version of Alisson Becker. I'm not saying he's anywhere near as close to him, but you can see he's like a prototype of him. And that's what I think is absolutely huge. And with Bradley, like his head could have went down, but it didn't. Do you know what? When I see, there was one shot of him last night, and he's walking. After he wins a free kick where he protects the ball. The fella goes over the back of him. They both fall on the ground, and he gets up and he walks away. And I don't know if you can go back and see it. Watch him walking away, and it's literally like watching Steven Gerrard walk away 25 years ago. Genuinely, the way he walks, the body shape of him, it's genuine. Now, I'm not saying he's Steven Gerrard, but it was just a kind of nonchalance to him. Like standing tall, walking away. Just watch it back. Now, it's probably me being just weird, and I know Joe thinks that, but it was just one of the, when you see someone and you say to yourself, there's just something about him, even the way he carries himself. And I think that's what I noticed with Conor Bradley. Moving on though, I want to have a word about Cade Gordon, and I've asked people in the chat, who do you think will be the next to break through? And Cade Gordon's name has come up a lot, and Musialowski, who's a young player at Liverpool, is raved about. Joe, go and check this fella out. He's ridiculous. I can't remember his first name. It's just hard enough to say his second name. But Musialowski is absolutely outrageous. He looks an outrageous footballer. So Joe, that's one for you to go and look at. But Cade Gordon, there's a couple of comments up there that I kept from earlier. Barry Linden says, he says Gordon is going to be special. Just needs to realise his own ability. He's got plenty of time. And Kieran B followed her up a little bit later, and he was saying that, for him, Cade Gordon will make it for sure. He's a banker. He's talented, but his attitude is fantastic. Great work rate and pressing for a 16-year-old. And you know what? The first thing, Jurgen Klopp went to congratulate him after the game last night, and the first thing, before he could congratulate him, Cade Gordon is saying thanks to him, for giving him a game. And Jurgen Klopp is saying, well, there's no need to thank me. You deserve where you are, I suppose. And Conroy, looking at Cade Gordon, for me, real talent. Probably needs to build up a little bit lightweight maybe, but I think he has all the attributes to get into a Liverpool side at some stage.
Only 16 as well.
Yeah,
though,
he's only 16. Yeah, no. But that's what I'm saying. The natural progress with him, will to see him build up, be a bit more powerful. But he, you could even see him last night moving in from the wing to try to get involved in the game and try, put a stamp on it. He looks a real talent as well.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I've got to be honest, it's very, I know they're not the exact same player, it's very reminiscent of Harvey Elliott at Fulham at 16 for me. A young kid getting into an environment and showing enough, not the end product or anything, but showing he's obviously got was not a superior talent, but a talent that's definitely ahead of his years. I'd say, like, you look at Elliott, you look at Bellingham's a big example. Bellingham's probably actually passed any youngster for the rate he's went at. That's ridiculous. But Cade Gordon last night, I was interested to watch him. I thought he was good in that wing. Obviously, parts of his game he well developed. But he's only 16, but I thought even there was a wee stage he cut in, had a shot. He looked really good. Started fresh. He had the pass to Origi that was just nearly went through. That was a good pass. And also there was a wee moment where it was him and Bradley, because I know Chris was talking about Bradley, had a bit of link up in the first half. It was the first half, and like he plays a flick ball over the top, and it's like Bradley's first touch. It's really good, and to me, it's just it falls into the Elliott bracket. It's like we've got a youngster there. He's got 2 years to kind of have the development that Elliott did, and I know it's slightly different because to me he looks like a proper winger. But then again, I thought Elliott was, so there's might be a bit of development and adaptation there. But I can see him going out on loan, similar to what Elliott done, and I feel like the talk about Cade Gordon to me seems very similar. And I feel like, you hear me okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it's very similar, and I feel like it's another exceptional talent. I'm kind of more cynical when it comes to academies, but I'll be honest, I think with the resurgence at Elliott, it makes me have more confidence that Gordon could get in his team. I would, however, I'd say that my favourite out of the players we've talked about tonight, not including Kelleher, because obviously he's an established member, I'd say Conor Bradley's probably got the best chance because Milner's getting older. And he can 100%. There's a spot to be filled as a backup right back for Liverpool. There's 100% a spot. Let's be honest. He's going to be looking at, I can get in ahead of Nico Williams. And then when Milner eventually goes, if it's the end of this season or the season after, for me, I think Bradley's got realistically the best shot at the moment anyway.
Yeah. Now, moving away from this, because we have 20 minutes left, so I'm going to give Joe the floor on this VAR. I want to have a discussion with him. Lad, you sit back and relax and think about your winners and losers. Joe, so I'm going to run through a series of tweets, Joe, with regards to VAR, and then me and you are going to have a discussion over 5 minutes, right? Do you want me to sound the air horn when our time is up?
Yeah, you can do it if you want.
Okay, I really want to. So this is my opportunity, right? But before we get into it, Chris, will you please read out the full draw from the League Cup so people know?
Okay, yeah. So we had Chelsea versus Southampton, Arsenal versus Leeds, Stoke versus Brentford, West Ham versus City, Leicester versus Brighton, Burnley v Tottenham, QPR v Sunderland, and Preston v Liverpool.
Good stuff. That's the full list. Now, Joe, I'm going to show you some stuff. All right, ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dale Johnson from ESPN is the man when it comes to VAR. He breaks every situation down, tells you what was happening, what reports I think he gets back with regards to VAR, what the ref said, what the fourth official said, what the lad in the van in the industrial estate said out in Stockley Park, all that sort of stuff, right? So, Joe, I want to run you through this, and I'm just going to run through them all from the start to finish, and then you can tell me what you're feeling, because me and you had a discussion about this the other day, right? So, he says, on the Leeds penalty claim at Newcastle for Joe Willock catching Daniel James, he says it's another penalty. Mike Dean thought James ran into Willock, and it was a coming together. But he's very surprised VAR Jared Gillette didn't advise the review. Another case of trying to be too quick. Okay? And then we have a series of stuff here, right? Dale Johnson still can't decide if it's a penalty or not, having watched it many times. This is with regards to Armstrong and Kyle Walker and Man City. He says Armstrong slides in for the ball as Walker starts his challenge, meaning Walker doesn't even really make a tackle. But once given, for whatever reason, it's hard to cancel it. Okay? And, you know, just to follow that up, he says Moss sent Walker off for a different offence. Okay? He judged Walker had pushed Adam Armstrong, hence the red, meaning he has not seen the incident correctly. At that point, the review of the whole penalty situation comes into play. Moss has given it for something that doesn't exist. When Moss goes to the monitors, all the options are open to him. Penalty in red, penalty in yellow, penalty in no card, no penalty in no card. As the incident is completely different to his original decision, option 4 is very much in play. Joe, you got upset by this. And the reason you got upset by all of this is because you feel that, like, do you feel that VAR is just inept in both situations there? and the fact that it's Man City in one and Leeds in the other is actually part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
go on.
listen,
And do you know what?
no,
I'm not
do
gonna
you know
shut
what
you
it
down.
is?
I just want you to say how you feel about this. But I will
Yeah,
sound an air horn in 4 minutes.
Yeah, call me paranoid, right? Leeds United spent 16 long years in the EFL, and we kept getting screwed over, and we were convinced they were out to get us. You know, we were their cash cow, right? So they wanted us to stay in the division, right? So they were put stumbling blocks in our way so we would stay in the division. Now, naturally, this is 16 long years, so it's been, okay, they might not have, but the paranoia was real. Believe me, the paranoia was real.
Drop a
But then
diss
I
track.
come up
That's
to-
the best comment of the night. Drop a
No,
diss
but then
track.
you come up to the Premier League. You come up to the Premier League, and it is very, very top six heavy in terms of decisions. What frustrated me most about the Dan James situation, it was a clear penalty. It's a clear penalty. Like, why hasn't it been checked? That's what I don't understand. And you reading all that stuff to me there, Gav, I still don't have a clue. So you can sort of have some sort of sympathy, maybe, with the referees a little bit, because all them things that are going around their mind, I'm not sure, but the Dan James one was a stonewall pen. And then it also begs into question, and this is a bit of a wider thing around the top six situation, is whilst we're not getting a penalty for Dan James, we have one of our best centre-backs currently serving a free match ban for a perfectly good tackle. Now, regardless of what your thoughts are on that, when that's been reviewed, if we look back to the Sun situations 2 years ago, 2019, his was overturned, yet he actually didn't get the ball on Gomez. Now, regardless of what you think of the challenge of Pascal Struijk on Harvey Elliott, it was, he actually got the ball. So the fact that they upheld the decision and decided to ban him for 3 games for what I perceive to be a perfectly good challenge, it's beggars belief, because when Son does it, and listen, I'm probably being a bit harsh here, but he throws on the waterworks. He gets his overturned. Why? Tottenham are top 6. And then we look at the City situation with Kyle Walker. It's a penalty for me. He sent him off. And then to then while it happened, right? I didn't see it at the time. I'm watching, what's it called? Sky Sports, Jeff Stelling, all that sort of stuff. And there's a red. And I tweeted out at the time, what a surprise. We can't get a penalty in a top 6 side or having theirs overturned and a man staying on the pitch. Kyle Walker's got form for this. Kyle Walker can't challenge in the box. He's forever giving away penalties. So maybe that's originally swayed the referee's decision. And then he's like, this is Man City. It's actually, I best overturn it, Nah, no red. I don't know what you guys think on the red situation. Well, it's just frustrating for me, because Dan James was a stonewall pen. And as I've said, we've got a lad, we're like 4 centre-backs light now. 4 centre-backs light, and one of them shouldn't even be suspended. And then that's not having a dig at Liverpool or anything. It's just, I think it shows top 6 bias for me personally. And VAR's also being used in that similar sort of thing, man.
I think...
Yo, man, Kev O'Sullivan, that is not a straight red. And I don't know if you try to trigger me here. You should have brought me on when this was in. It was never a straight red. And I'd be very
We've
surprised.
not got enough time to go into
do you know what? I'm not going to get into a big row, so I'm just going to respond to the 3 incidents, okay? I can't even remember what Son done. I think he pushes Andre Gomez into somebody else, if I remember rightly.
No, he snapped his leg.
But did he not?
He slid in, and it was like the angle, and then I
have visions of him pushing somebody into somebody else.
No, that's Hugo Lloris when he did in the documentary.
No, anyway, listen, I can't remember the Son stuff. But anyway, Joe, without getting into a massive debate with you, I see where you're coming from. I don't think it's overly paranoid what you're saying, right? But first of all, Dan James is most certainly a penalty, right? Now, the thinking is that Mike Dean thinks they have it coming together, right? For me, if VAR is working correctly, okay, Mike Dean says in his ear, I think that's a coming together, and VAR says, well, it's not. I think it's a penalty. Will you go and look at it? And he looks at it and he gives a penalty. That's how I think it should work. But I think Mike Dean says that, and the person doesn't correct him. Okay.
Do you think there's a
and-
fear of wanting to?
No, that's Jared Gillette's first game on VAR as well. This is Australian ref that last week we're all giving credit for on BT, who I'm looking forward to see referee a game for the first time, be an international referee. But that's his first game in VAR. So it might just be a case that
Well, he's not
made
the
a
first
mistake
international referee because Dermot Gallagher was.
No,
he's
it's the
Irish.
first. No, it's the first out of before seas. Not sorry, I didn't mean to say. He's the first overseas referee because that's what it said, Jared Gillette, because he's been brought from
Outside of
Australia.
the UK and Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
I said,
foreign.
it's overseas. Sorry, I meant I can't remember the phrase. Yeah,
Because there's a big
that's what I
sea
said.
between Ireland and England.
No, I'm not saying Ireland's British. I'm not saying that, but I just meant that's where he came in. But I feel like that's his first game. So to be honest, guys, I think that's not a bias. I think that's maybe just a mistake.
Yeah,
because-
but to be honest with you, that's not good enough.
No, it's not.
good enough,
It's not.
you
It's
know.
not good enough. I
It's
don't
only,
think
it's,
he
it's
falls
like
into
me.
the
It's like me
category
going
of
to
being
drive a
biased.
van for the first day and crashing the van and going first day, lad. Sorry,
yeah.
you know, like well, the fucking van still
it's
crashed.
all right.
You know what I mean?
It's all right.
We'll get you
I'm
another van
saying-
tomorrow. Just be more careful. You know, but like to me, the process in my mind, and I could be completely wrong, right? Kev O'Sullivan comes back and says, "Yep, James is defo a pen. It's nailed on," and he's not trying to trick you, by the way. Kev is one of the most honest guys you come across. But for me, even if Mike Dean says nothing to that, even if he says no, and says nothing, they should be in his ear going, "Mike, we've looked at it back. He's cleaned them over. You've looked at it. You've seen it wrong."
No, I
And there's
agree.
no follow on for me. It's a definite penalty. With regards to the centre half for Leeds, it's a red card in my opinion, right? And listen, I'm now the big thing for me here, Joe.
I can't.
Joe. I listen to you. No, hold on. The big thing
Go on,
for me,
sorry,
Joe.
sorry.
The big thing for me, Joe, is there's no intent. There's no
It doesn't
malice in
matter.
it,
It doesn't matter.
right? And intent is not in the rule book.
Never
He
has
jumps. He jumps from behind, Joe. He leaves the ground from behind on a player. There's no malice involved, right? Now, the problem in that situation is that the play goes on, right? And then it's seen what happened to Harvey Elliott. VAR don't make the decision there. VAR don't. The actual decision is made by the fourth official. It's the fourth official that says, right? Now, I'm not saying that the process was correct on the Harvey Elliott thing because I don't think it was. I think the referee should have looked at the tackle and went, he's left the ground. It's an unsafe manner to make a tackle. That's the ruling of the game, right? Now I'm not telling you not to go out and tackle people. I don't think Patrick Struck is his name, isn't it? I don't think I wouldn't look at him next time he plays for Liverpool and goes, that's that fucking scumbag that done Harvey Elliott. Not a chance, because I think he made a genuine attempt to play a ball. I don't think there was malice or intent, but the way he done it was out of control. And in the rules of the game, if you're out of control in a tackle, that's what's going to happen. I don't hold anything against the guy. I just think both players for me are an unfortunate victim of the circumstance. Right now, the City one, right, that's a complete mess for me, a complete mess. And the reason it is because he makes the decision that Kyle Walker has come across a guy, hasn't gone near the ball, has come across a guy and taken him down. The guy is falling because of the weight of Kyle Walker on him. You know, Kyle Walker's literally leaning on him from an angle. The guy I think is genuinely trying to stay up. Genuinely. But I think Kyle Walker comes in, puts his leg across him, and the guy has nowhere else to go. The decision is made, red card and penalty. Okay. Now, in my opinion, the referee should have stopped the game and went, I'm not sure on this. Let me go and look at it. But how he goes from red card and penalty to no red card and no penalty, watching them, clips and whatever else in full HD in front of him from all angles is absolutely and utterly beyond me. And it's similar to the one where West Ham are given a free against them when Wan-Bissaka goes nowhere near the ball and cleans.
That was nuts. That was crazy.
It was a Yarmolenko. It wasn't Yarmolenko.
No, it's is it? No, I think it's Souček. It's
Souček. And I'm looking going, well, it doesn't really matter.
He's not offside. He's not offside either. He's clearly not offside.
Yeah, it's a strange one. And do you know what? VAR, I think, has been better this season, but I still think there's issues. And I think the most galling one of the lot is actually the Leeds one away in Newcastle. I could not believe my eyes watching it. And Joe, I don't know how I ended up watching Leeds and Newcastle on Friday night. Maybe because I knew they just both go hammer and tongs at it, and they did. And when I seen it, and don't get me wrong, I've seen Daniel James playing for United, and he has a habit of going down easily. That's my opinion of him at times. But he clearly gets the ball, and Willock clearly absolutely goes straight into him. if you think it's coming together, you say it to the VAR, and VAR look at it and go, it's not coming together. Go to the screen and look at it, and you make the decision. In my opinion, it's a red card or it's a penalty, and that's what should be happening. They are getting there. It's not perfect, but Joe, I don't think you're overly. I don't think your paranoia is way out there when you see the top 6 stuff. Now Liverpool, I think on the stat, have suffered more from VAR than anybody else. Probably going back last season and this season. With regards to overturned decisions and stuff like that. But then again, a lot of them decisions could be correct. You know, the sort of way. It's just unfortunate in the way it goes. But go on, Joe, you're very upset.
Yeah, no, I can't help but think, and I said this, and again, sorry to bring it back to that. I won't touch on it because we're going to disagree, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. I can't help but think if it was Virgil van Dijk on someone, Virgil van Dijk would have had his overturned. I can't help but think that would have happened.
But Mane's didn't, Joe. Mane against City with Ederson, that didn't get overturned. He got the match ban for that, and they tried to say there was no malice, and there wasn't. So,
that Mane one you're talking about was pre-VAR, right? And it's still rescinded. Yeah, no, it still incenses me to this day because Mane is looking at a ball over the top, completely has his eye on the ball. He's outside the box. He puts his foot up to try control it, and I think it is Ederson comes out, and he takes Ederson out. But having said that, is he out of control in what he's doing? So you have to look at it from that side as well.
No, but that one didn't even get rescinded, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The whole control element, I think, is where it comes down to. Malice and intent comes out of it. It's not part of it.
I think the thing is as well, like Conroy mentioned, if that's that guy's first game, someone mentioned it in the comments as well with the Dan James situation where maybe he didn't want to overrule the ref. That's not good enough because if Leeds get a second in that game, we batter them 4 or 5.
No, it's not good enough, mate. I just think in that case, it's not a subconscious bias with some maybe institutionalized refs previously. That's all I was saying with that one. Because the guys, that's not good enough. I completely agree, mate. I just think the other examples in the past, I don't think you're absolutely paranoid. I just think with that one, it's maybe just a mistake. And I know it's hard to take, but that's all I was saying on that one.
I even thought as well, I don't know if you guys agree with me, I even thought and this is hard for me to say because I can't stand them, but I even thought there was a case that Ronaldo should have had a pen before West Ham got their pen. I thought that was a penalty.
Yeah. One,
because I was laughing at the time thinking if West Ham convert this, Man United will be fuming because they should have had a pen and it'll be brilliant. But then he went and missed.
The thing with the United one and the Ronaldo one, is particularly with Zuma, is Zuma sticks a leg out, there's no doubt about it. The problem there is that Ronaldo literally starts dropping to the floor as soon as he touches the ball before Zuma goes near him. Do you know the sort of way? And I think that's what done Ronaldo. If the funny thing is, if Ronaldo just runs in a straight line, he's getting a penalty because Zuma it's actually an awful challenge by Zuma. It's an awful challenge by Zuma. And Ronaldo, instead of trying to preempt or hope that he can make a contact, he actually, if he just runs in a straight line, he gets a penalty. But it's just, look, it's one of those. Free World, I think he's back to upset me because he tries it most weeks. So I'm gonna let's get this over and done with Free World. He says, Gav, if you want to attempt an overhead kick and someone sticks their head near your foot, you knock the player out but also score. Is it a goal? I don't think it is.
Dangerous play.
Yeah, I think because your foot's up above their head. If you score an overhead kick and no one's head's near you, it's fine. But I think if someone actually has their head there and you kick them, I don't think it is a goal. And that could be a trick.
How low the head goes. So
it's not the guy's fault who's done the overhead kick and scored a world.
No, but I don't. But this is the thing. It's nobody's fault. This thing. It's nobody's fault. But that's part of the game. The intent is not there. It's to do with the fact that your foot has contacted somebody's head at that height, regardless of your intent or not. But Joe, that's the rule of the game.
No, this is what I'm saying to you. This is what I'll say to you. And I get everyone's emotional and they'll be flying it in the chat. And I'm emotional. I'm in the back. But ask yourself the question: if Harvey Elliott doesn't get injured, we are not even talking about this. He doesn't get a red. He doesn't get a red. No, but this.
But that's in the rules. But that's in the rules, though, isn't it?
Off both feet. The referee didn't even blow, man. I was in the ground. It was a perfectly good tackle. No Liverpool player complained. No manager complained. It wasn't until afterwards. So therefore,
No,
it shouldn't
because
matter
because
what
yeah, but nobody
impact
gave
is.
out, Joe, and nobody complained, and Liverpool players were shocked when the red card came out, and the reason behind all that is because the players were looking, going, we know you didn't mean anything bad. We know you didn't. But the referee has to look at it in black and white, Joe. He has to look at it and go, he did not mean to do that. He did not set out to hurt him. But the fourth official has said he's left the ground from behind and he's out of control. And that's all they cared about, Joe. That's all they care. They don't care about me or you talking, in sense in some parts and emotionally in other parts.
Because they can't read someone's mind. They can't read their mind.
And actually looking at the reaction of players or fans or officials or whoever or management nearby. Do you get me? They don't care about that. All they're looking at is the referee doesn't give the foul, correct. The fourth official, when it's stopped, is the one that says something because it didn't go to VAR. The fourth official made the thing and said he jumped, he was out of control. That's what happened there, Joe. There's no blame in it. It's just the way it's worded in the rule book, and intent and malice is not even considered in it.
What I will say, just not on this, just off top, slightly off, is we all loved the way the Euros was refereed, the way VAR was used. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I think our league have then gone, right, okay, what we'll try do is speed it up so that it's not as many stoppages as the Euros, but it's actually come at a detriment because now they're missing shit. Now they're missing shit.
Last season it was too slow though, so you can never
this is what
win.
I'm saying.
There's one big factor.
You need that happy medium like the guys in Europe. That was perfect.
But Euros is a tournament. This is league every week, so you've got a bigger sample size to see stuff going wrong. It's no one's ever going to be happy. It's genuinely listen. Republic of Ireland, Thierry Henry handballs it with VAR.
Don't do
doesn't
that.
happen.
Jesus Christ!
Simple as that. VAR
Conroy,
is here to stay. It's never going anywhere else. We just need to get used to it, and it will improve.
Right, Chris. Last word on it, Chris. Go.
The other big thing with the Euros is they had VAR officials who just looked at one game, so they literally had an official for every game. They don't do that in England or in any country. You basically have, like, say, 4 lads in a van, and they've got to look at all the games, and they brought the incidents up. So that's probably why there's less mistakes, because literally you've got one fella, and his job is to look at England, Russia.
Do you reckon the Australian fella crashed the van?
Friday there was only Leeds versus Newcastle.
Yeah, do you reckon?
No, but I'm saying, but that doesn't help, if you know what I mean, though.
Do you reckon
in a normal week there's like 3-4 games going on, and obviously they've got to do multiple ones.
Do you reckon the Australian fella crashed the van on the way home as well?
I reckon they did, yeah.
Wrong side of the road or whatever. Or maybe he's driving a different side of the road over there. I'm not too sure. Anyway, right, let's move on because you've ruined my time frame now, and I'm not happy. And I was going to play it fucking.
Just do it, man. Just do it. I'll carry on talking, and then you can just do it.
No, because I don't know. Right, so can we do a little poll as to what the best sound is to end?
I can't believe you said that he crashed the van.
Right,
it's brilliant. He crashed the van.
So I have an applause.
Yeah.
Right. Don't like that. Bicycle horn. Brace yourself. Brace your ears. Right. This is the really loud one.
That's a good one. That's good.
Okay.
I like that one.
This one.
That's The Price is Right.
That's called Glockenspiel. Someone made that up. There's a party noise. No, I'm not mad at that. And then there's just a triangle. Nice little triangle. I like the triangle. And it turns out I can actually add sound effects, which is amazing. So I can get anything I want. I could actually record Joe shouting, "It's a fucking disgrace," and we could just have that as our thing. When we want to end
Jimmy, when he goes, is it when he goes, "That's obscene"? Nice.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna get somebody saying something, and that'll be our trigger too. That's the
anytime it's VAR, just have Joe saying that. That would be brilliant for the rest of the year. Just Joe sound effect with VAR. That'd be brilliant.
Okay. Now, we might get Joe. I don't know. Joe's quite expensive. He charges a lot of money when you ask him to do shit like this. So we'll have to wait and see.
Why is everyone getting fees for this?
Well, listen, it'd be royalties, wouldn't it? The amount of times I'm going to press that button every week and every season, the sort of way. Number 3 is getting a huge. That's the DJ air horn. But listen, we can literally make one up, so it'll be good. Right, winners and losers. Are you ready? Well, we have 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes, and that's it. And then I'm pressing the glockenspiel or whatever we're calling it. So, winners first. Chris, winner. What's your winner?
Jurgen Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp. Why?
Rotation. And I've done the 3 pre-shows this. The amount of bitching and moaning I've seen about the shit teams he's apparently picked, he's got more spot on. It's almost like he knows what he's doing. And to be fair to it, he's a manager we have criticised. I would say he got the majority of his substitutions right. So look, 3 games, 3 wins, and first time in our history now we have won 4 consecutive away games by 3 goals or more. So what more can you ask?
Coftino says, this is like me nan using the internet for the first time. That's an absolutely brilliant show. I'm delighted with that. That's look, that's made that little segment well worth it. We're definitely going to get a couple of people saying different things, and we're going to use them in this show, and maybe the Fat Pack 4 as well for a bit of crack. Conroy, who's your winner of the week?
Winner, Brighton, and Graham Potter specifically. That's 4 wins out of 5 this season. It's first time, it's the best Premier League start they've ever had. I know they've not had many, but it's an outstanding start. Their only loss was 2-0 Everton away. Last season, we talk about how they're really good tactically, fluid, intensity, build-up play, fast build-up, outstanding. But that was the end product, you know. I'm not one for expected goals. I've never been like that. But last season, if you watch like the United against Brighton game, they hit the woodwork like 5 times. And it feels like even Mopai, he scored 3 goals this season. They're getting goals from different areas. Their centre halves, Trossard scored. So they're getting goals from different areas. Great start to the season, playing superb football. And it's just a shout out to Graham Potter. People sometimes do look down, and I'm not going to get into the international against British coaches, but for me, Potter is, I've said for a while, he's a very, very good coach. Underrated is probably not the wrong word, but maybe slightly disregarded when it comes to the bigger jobs. But as Gav said before, he's got a project there. He's going to focus on it. And I feel like, what outstanding week for them. And bear in mind, the start of the season, they were 1-0 down to Burnley, came back to win 2-1. And then since then, bar the Everton game, they just look brilliant. And Yves Bissouma's been outstanding as well. But we'll not get into which players Liverpool should have signed. He's been superb.
No, don't go there. I haven't got the time. Joe, who's your winner of the week?
I've gone for Jesse Lingard.
Right.
Not far.
No, definitely not far. Don't go there.
Jesse Lingard, listen, I really dislike Manchester United, and I disliked him until he went on loan to West Ham, and I could appreciate him better as a footballer. Obviously, what happened against Young Boys, and then for him to come back and score what was a decent goal. I actually like Jesse Lingard, and fair play to him for doing that, because I think throughout the season, Manchester United fans are just going to continue to berate him. And I hope he leaves and gets a decent club next season. But I just want to say props to him, because after, he could have easily kept his head down after that great assist in the Young Boys game, but he came back and scored the winner.
Yeah. There's a phone going absolutely mental there somewhere, boys. It could be Joe. We're going to blame Joe. We're blaming Joe on everything tonight. So we might as well continue with that team. In fairness to Lingard, I was amazed that he didn't go to West Ham on a permanent basis and get away from United. Not only, I just feel that Solskjaer only use him when he absolutely has to. And I don't think that at the age he's at 28, I think Jesse Lingard, I don't think that's where he needs to be right now. I think West Ham would have been a great move for him, especially the way they're shaping up West Ham. They seem to they're really solid, and they're you know what, they're starting to manage themselves properly. West Ham, so fair play to them. So we've had 3 winners. Chris, loser of the week.
David Moyes. Although
it's
where football makes a fool of you, because he just won tonight. But that Southern United game, every man and his dog were going, he's gonna fucking miss now, isn't he? Did he not watch the Euros? Did he not realise that bringing players on cold who have barely kicked the ball isn't always the best idea? It's even funny because David De Gea's record at saving penalties is atrocious. But it was just a bit of a mad decision, because just put someone like a Rice on who's pumped up for the game and go with that. I just think it's an unnecessary risk, and it very rarely comes off unless it's James Milner.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Moyes is a good shout, despite that win tonight at Old Trafford. He is a good shout, because we always look back at the weekend. That's being when we're picking our winners and losers. Conroy, give us your loser.
Well, I was going to say West Ham and Moyes and Noble because he missed the penalty, but I'll maybe add something a bit different then. That was my first one. My second one was going to be, albeit Juventus won tonight, but since if you watch Juve and Barcelona's form since Ronaldo and Messi's left, you know, I know Barcelona are in a mess, absolute mess, and Ronald Koeman just came out today and basically had a list of this is the project and left the press conference without answering any questions. So if you've not seen that, go and check that out. So I would say Juventus is maybe not badly ran, and maybe Juventus fans will argue that, you know, they struggled to get in the top four last year and needed a change, couldn't just play well for them since those two players have left. You can just see the absolute dip, and I think Barca drew, and Juventus, I think, either drew or lost at the weekend as well. So it was just to say they would be my second losers of the week. I was going to say West Ham would be first and Mark Noble missing that penalty and telegraphing where he was going. Everybody knew he was going to that side. So, yeah.
Okay, we're giving a shout out for the Ronaldo-less Juventus and the Messi-less Barcelona, which is fair. Barcelona are an absolute shit show. They're an absolute shit show.
I feel like any career mode in FIFA would have managed their club better than Barcelona have.
Yeah, the chances are you're right. Finishes off, Joe.
Harry Kane. It's a madness, and again, he scored tonight, hasn't he? So it's sort of like sod's law. But I think just his whole start to the season under new manager Nuno, I think prior to tonight's game, well, in the league anyway, they've still only scored, is it one goal from open play? I think the other week he had the first time in his career no touches or shots in the opposition box. And that goes back to even when he was out on loan in a 90 minutes. So that's a madness. And so Tottenham are just making me laugh because he's worse than Jose Mourinho, and he's a B-Tech Mourinho. And Kane, I feel like he's stuck there now, and I feel a bit sorry for him. But at the same time, I don't know. He's just a loser, isn't he? Because he's got to stay at Tottenham, and they're not going to do anything at all. And I just feel, I do feel sorry for him because, and I think as well, Spurs have missed a trick because when he does go, if he does go in the summer, maybe he goes to Manchester United if Haaland go, if City go for Haaland, I don't know, loads of moving parts. But what I'm saying is the money that Tottenham will command now is not going to be anywhere close to what they'd have got. So I think they're a loser and Harry Kane's a loser. Look, he scored tonight in the Carabao Cup. He always starts poorly. Not poorly, but it takes him a while to get going. But it's just a totally different vibe to him. And I don't think he's going to be anywhere close to top goal scorer this season. I think that will be saved for the man Lukaku, Salah and Ronaldo. I think between them three. Kane's out of the running for that, I think.
Good stuff, good stuff. It's been a great show. We've had meltdowns from Joe. We've auditioned noises that we can use on our show. We've had the League Cup draw as we are going, and we've had a great chat about Leeds young players along with Liverpool young players. James Milner, VAR. We've had loads on tonight, and it's been really, really enjoyable. 1 hour and 20 minutes is more than acceptable. We're 5 minutes over what we should be, possibly 10. But look, we're having a nice time. Joe, anything else before we go? Where can we find you? What are you doing? Because every time I contact you now, you're at live events and you're signing autographs in Leeds and stuff like that. So where can we find you, Joe?
Just Joe Football Show, not Joe, the Just Joe Football Show. I do plenty watch-alongs, to be fair. I do the Champions League and whatnot, so I know you'll have all your Liverpool content creators, and rightly so, but if you ever fancy a different look to it, then come and watch me. Heavily Leeds content, related, of course, but yeah, we do a preview show on a Thursday at 8 o'clock, which is really, really fun. A little bit like we used to do on the Daytrippers on a Friday, which I miss and I used to really enjoy because I like the Trippers. So, just come over and check that out if you can. Okay, we will. Chris, anything else before we go?
Just to say the women are playing on Sunday, so if you're in the area, go and support the women. If you're a season ticket holder, it's free, and they're even doing free buses now from Anfield. You just got to buy your ticket online. And fingers crossed, I'll have another women's show coming out next week.
Good stuff, good stuff. Conroy, anything else before we go?
Jess, I meant to say it was the first overseas referee. That's Jared Gillette, so that's his Australian. So he's the first overseas referee.
No, but he's
I
not.
wasn't falling down. No, but that's
No, he's
what
not.
the article
No,
said. No, I'm
because-
agreeing with you.
Because the
No, I'm
Irish
agreeing with you. I'm
referee,
saying that
the Irish
article's
referee
wrong.
had
That's
to
what I'm
fly
saying.
over the sea to get to you.
Yeah. No, I'm saying the article's wrong. I'm saying that's what it said, so it's incorrect.
Yes, they I'm only messing with you. They corrected themselves by saying he's the first referee outside the UK and Ireland. So that's what they done.
So just that was article, not me. I know the difference, and I was not trying to say there's no difference.
It doesn't
So
matter.
just to
People are
clarify.
going to go into the comments after this and give out about you, and me and you have a lovely laugh about it. So it's always good.
But just to say as well, you can find me at the Twitter there, so it's at _ConroyH, or you can catch me on the YouTube channel Conroy Talks, which is kind of general football stuff, anything you want, and you see yourself different guests from the Trippers there, who thankfully come along as well. And Joe, you're more than welcome to come along anytime. So we just
Anytime,
discussed
mate. Give me a shout.
Once he's
mate,
not at a live event or signing autographs.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So just whenever, but if you can catch me there, great, and you'll see Gav's face there quite a lot as well. So yeah, thanks again for the show, Gav. Really enjoyed that.
No problem at all. A lot of people get the impression of this show that me and Joe don't like each other and we just slag each other up from start to finish, but we do. We love each other immensely. But as I said, go and check out the women's side if you can. If you're in around Liverpool on Sunday, make sure you check out Conroy's Talks YouTube channel, and absolutely go and check out Joe's YouTube channel as well. It's full of loads of Leeds content. It is full of just general Liverpool or general Premier League stuff on there as well, and the watch-alongs as well. But listen, if Leeds get denied a penalty, mute the fucker, because he gets very, very upset. That has been the midweek fix for this week. Thanks for joining us. There's a carnage tomorrow. Grizz isn't on it. He's away on holiday, but there is a carnage tomorrow. I know Avi is looking after that for tomorrow. Avi will be back then on Friday with Sports Unplugged. Saturday we will have pre and post match around Brentford. Sunday will be the Fatback 4, and then God knows what we'll do next week. But I know there's an international break coming soon, isn't there? So that's when we enjoy ourselves. Midweek quizzes and fucking drafts and random chats and shit like that. So that's when we come into our own. When we don't have to talk about football, we're the best football fucking talkers around. Right, that has been it. That has been the midweek fix. Thanks for joining us. Over now.